Hey everyone, and welcome to another Spacelords guide, this time for the mission, The Beast's Lair. This is the final mission in the Wardog campaign and features a memorable boss battle against General Marmalade, the leader of the Umbra Wardogs. This isn't a particularly difficult mission, but there's a few details that are never explained by the game itself, so I hope to bridge that gap in this guide and teach people how to efficiently clear this mission, or at least some tips that people may not have known before. So the first area you spawn in is a wide open area with 4 different islands. You can only progress islands upwards, for example from the first island to the second one, the second island to the third one, and so on. But you can't go backwards. This is due to the bridges, which are controlled by buttons, of which the buttons are only located on one side of the bridge. Unless a teammate is on the other side to enable the bridge to let you go backwards, you have to go in a circle between these 4 different islands. That's basically the point of the mission, to rotate in a circle. These ultimately loop back to the spawn island, the first one. The first objective is to fill a generator with 10 Aleph. You will notice that there are several notches on the meter. These are very important because whenever you put Aleph into the generator, looters, designated by their blue Aleph signature, will spawn and steal the Aleph from the generator that you worked so hard to put the Aleph in. The notches show checkpoints at which the looters cannot steal any more Aleph. The larger segments are 4 Aleph each, and the smaller segment is 2 Aleph. So in my game, you can see here, it is got 2 green ones filled, and those are the full Aleph segments, therefore we have 8 Aleph in the generator. This means that someone would not have to stay behind and defend it, and the whole team can rotate back to the first island and collect Aleph together. However, if by pure chance the team's Aleph collection results in an odd number, like 5 for example, then someone should stay behind on the 4th island to keep killing the looters when they spawn, whilst the rest of the team goes around collecting Aleph. Now, as for collecting Aleph itself, the second island normally has the most frequent spawns of elite snipers. The third island occasionally gets spawns every now and then, and the 4th island rarely gets them. However, each island will already have 1 or 2 snipers on them for the first time you reach them. The first spawn island almost never has them at the start of the mission, but as you rotate round to the 4th one, a couple of them would have already spawned on the first island. Additionally, be careful of bridges falling. They will sound an alarm for a few seconds before they give way. Then you have to press the button on the controller again. I've seen a lot of people just drop like a brick on the bridge when they didn't listen out for the alarm, so please watch out for that one. Now once the team completes the generator by putting in the 10 Aleph, a bridge will unfold on the 3rd island. It's on the opposite direction from where you jump down to get to the 4th bit. This leads to a small barge. There is a button on that barge that starts a timer until the next level, but all teammates must be on the barge, otherwise you lose a life for each teammate that wasn't on there. They essentially die. It's important to not press the button until the team is completely ready and close by to the 3rd island or already on the barge. It's also important to note that elite brutes, the ones that like to grab you and go invincible with Aleph charges, start spawning near the barge too, so the team needs to focus their fire on keeping them off. Longer range characters like local snipers can help kill enemies that are shooting from a longer distance on the 2nd island. However, there's also some cover on the barge, one for each character, to help mitigate damage, but please, you have to be shooting the elites that spawn in front of the barge so they don't just overrun the barge. After the countdown, your team will be whisked off to the first phase of the boss fight against Marmalade. Firstly, you'll see Marmalade's huge ass face. Take note that he has one eye closed and one eye open. So shooting the open eye, which is on the right hand side from your perspective, shooting this for a small amount of damage is not worth using the ammo on. You're better off just ignoring this eye altogether. The key way to deal damage to Marmalade via his eye is to wait for him to start spewing fire, and now his eye on the left hand side will open up. Shooting that until he reels back in pain will deal a chunk of damage to him and stun him temporarily. Additionally, Marmalade has loads of faces scattered all over his body. One of them will have its eyes open. Shooting this face until it closes its eyes in pain also deals a chunk of damage to Marmalade's health. In front of Marmalade is the pig. This machine will have a percentage that slowly goes up. Once it reaches 100%, it can be interacted with to put Aleph inside, but before that, you have to be careful. Marmalade often puts his laser fire breath thing over the pig, stopping raiders from injecting their Aleph, So make sure that you stun Marmalade first by shooting the usually closed eye that I've just mentioned before, then putting Aleph into the pig. Local characters such as Harik and Shay can put Aleph in faster than other ones, so they sometimes have it easier and can even sneak in Aleph without even needing to stun Marmalade. But if you're not up to the task, just take the generic route and stun him, then put the Aleph in safely. Once the Aleph is injected, Marmalade will leer back in pain as his face gets fucking ripped off. Now is your chance to shoot him, dealing a lot of damage. One more thing, once Marmalade has taken a significant portion of damage after his face gets ripped off, you will hear some alarm sounds, and behind you probably, one or two of his arms will go into the ground, and some glowing bubbles will appear on those arms. If you can't see the glowing bubble, rotate until you can find one. There's usually one near the bottom and one near the top of his arm. You have to shoot these glowing balls until he brings his arm back. Otherwise, the floor will turn into lava until the next time you stun Marmalade, and that leaves very little areas to safely walk on, and you don't want that. It's only happened like 3 times to me and it's been fucking hell every single time. Now, keep repeating this until Marmalade is dead, watching out for sniper spawns for Aleph and sneaky Wardog grunt spawns that can catch you off guard if they spawn behind you. A cutscene will play when Marmalade reaches 0 HP, leading you to the last boss phase. After all, that wasn't his final form. Now Marmalade is invulnerable, and the pig will have an Aleph counter on it. You need to put this much Aleph in to win the game. However, the level is now teeming with fire, enemies and Marmalade hands, so be careful, make your way over towards the pig and kill the elites. Always have 1 or 2 people defending the pig as well, because quite a few looters spawn, they're the guys with the blue Aleph signatures. And with a bit of luck, this part of the level will be finished quickly too. There's not many tips for this one, but there will be elite grunts and elite snipers, so keep some people close to the pig and get a couple people hunting Aleph. And now on to some quick character recommendations and characters I don't recommend for this mission. So for the recommended, we have Shay, Lycus, Hans, Mika, Schneider, Constantine and Genebra. The thing is with Beast Lair is that a lot of characters are good at this mission. These recommended ones are maybe just ones that work probably the safest. Out of the ones that you can see on the screen, I would say that the best ones are probably Shay and Schneider, since both of them, as long as you're not using the killer bull weapon for Schneider, which can't hit Marmalade, they have the best weapons for dealing massive amounts of damage to Marmalade. Shay can lock onto his faces, the ones that are around him, and it can also lock onto his eye, and Schneider's drone does a massive amount of damage to bosses. The other characters such as Lycus, Hans, Mika, Constantine and Genebra, I just think they're alright at this mission. Their guns do a decent amount of damage, they have a decent amount of mobility to move around the level, they're good at collecting Aleph for the first part, and they're good at killing Marmalade in the second half, so they're quite solid characters to pick. Moving on to characters I don't recommend, it is simply just Alicia, Hive, Lot, Ayana and Valeria. Rak would also be on the list, but if you're not using his default weapon, the Shepherd, and you're maybe using his rare one, you'll have an easier time hitting Marmalade. The only reason I don't recommend the other War Dogs as well as Ayana and Valeria is that the majority of their weapons have a hard time hitting Marmalade due to the distance on them. Valeria's default can still hit Marmalade for quite a bit of damage, but it's a bit awkward. However, if you play her or Kuzman for example, you can still do a good job killing all the grunts around the map for your team whilst they focus the boss. These aren't definitive guides for who you shouldn't play. You can still play one of these characters and still be fine, as long as your team has picked some good ones maybe from the recommended page previously. Alicia, Hive and Lot all have very close range weapons, so they've got a very hard time hitting Marmalade's face and almost impossible to hit Marmalade's eyes. You're better off just picking one of the characters I recommended instead. However, if I didn't recommend a character, like I said before, you can still pick them, it's absolutely fine. The other locals are good picks, just it's all down to your personal skill and what you're most comfortable with. Best of luck when trying this mission yourself, and I really hope this guide helped you. Please leave in the comments any specific guides you want for particular weapons, characters or missions, and as always, thanks for watching. Until next time.